Welcome to Proud Veteran Outreach, our weekly TV show where we ask you, the civilian, to help us identify the lost or isolated military veteran. Military veterans have difficulty transitioning from active duty into civilian life, and consequently they isolate, and when they isolate, the depression may set in and they may commit suicide or go homeless or live with their pain all by themselves. And we're asking you, the civilian, to help us identify these veterans so that we can give them the proper attention, support, and service that they deserve. Our show is brought to you by the Proud Foundation and the Vet Centers of Minnesota, located in Brooklyn Park, New Brighton, and Duluth. My name is Jim Jurowitz. I'm an Army veteran myself, and today we're going to be talking about the VFW. Not the American Legion, but the VFW isolated, so that we can know what the difference is. And today we have as our guest Jonell Wilson.
Hi.
Jonell, thank you very much for coming. Jonell is a disabled a military veteran in the Army. So would you please do the honors and tell us what your military service is and tell us what your career is?
Sure.
And give us a little bit of inspiration as to why you chose to engage with the VFW.
Okay. Well, I was in the Army for 8 years. I served in Iraq from 05 to 07 as military police. I was there during the extension time, so overall it was 22 months, a really long time. Came back, I had, different struggles myself, kind of rehabilitating back
Transition
into
problems?
Yeah, back into civilian life was hard for me, and I know for some of my
So
other.
what was the gap? This is the biggest concern, from when your active duty ended to when you took a civilian job.
The gap, I
The time
really didn't.
Time lapse.
I kind of started work right away. I think I
Good.
only took a couple months break.
Good.
And then I just really got right back into it, and I think that helped a little bit.
Good.
But really the thing that got me started is when I started working for the state. I worked with the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs
Yep.
as an outreach coordinator. So I worked with the veterans that were being unseen, so whether they couldn't leave their house or they had some disability that they couldn't necessarily come to me, I would go out into the community and help veterans and help them with claims for disabilities and things like that. I got connected with the Vet Center that way, and that just started my passion for working with veterans. And then I joined this VFW in Brooklyn Park probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, and I haven't stopped. Obviously, I'm still there.
So did you do your VA job first, or did you do your other civilian job first?
When I worked for the state, I did that first.
Okay.
Now I work for troubled youth in Hennepin County, so I no longer have the state job, but that didn't stop me from wanting to work with veterans, so I volunteered
Is
at the
there a
VFW.
reason the state job ended?
Nope, I just took another job.
Okay.
So yeah, and I wanted to continue my passion working with veterans, so I volunteered at the VFW.
Great. So let's talk about the VFW.
Okay.
So what is the difference between the VFW and the American Legion? What differentiates them?
Really the only difference is that veterans of the VFW served during a wartime on foreign soil. And that's it.
And millennial veterans, are they attracted to one Legion over the other, VFW or American Legion? Or what's the stigma that the millennial veteran is facing when they choose to join a Legion or not to join at all?
I think the biggest stigma for both American Legion and VFW is that when people think about us, they think older or senior veterans just sitting around a bar, getting drunk and telling war stories. And, there may be some of that, yes, but we're more than that. We're more than just a bar. We do outreach services for our community. We work with our youth in the community.
So when you talk about outreach to the community, are you outreaching to military veteran organizations or families, or are you reaching out to civilian families as well?
Both.
Okay.
We will usually help anybody in need. We do have a relief fund that's specifically just for veterans in need, but let's say that we just have a senior that needs a ride to an appointment or Meals on Wheels, things like that. We do have different veterans in our VFW that volunteer their time to do things like that.
Can a civilian volunteer to provide services to a VFW?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. They can always come to a VFW if we have a service project. Sometimes we do things where we go out into the community, like the Anoka Healing Nest that houses a lot of the homeless veterans kind of struggling. We did a lot of rehab work there. We worked with the local Home Depot and got us a grant to basically help them kind of redo a lot of their buildings there. And then we also do other community service events where we want to raise awareness of veteran suicides, kind of what you were talking about before. Last weekend we had our 3rd annual 5K where we basically want to raise awareness of veteran suicides. So all of the proceeds and donations that go to our 5K that is now our 3rd one that we've had goes to the 23rd Veteran, which is another veteran organization that helps veterans in need.
So your 5K was pretty successful. What kind of funds did you raise?
We raised over $10,000 for the 23rd Veteran, so
And
really excited.
Who contributed to that $10,000? Was it their cost to run in the race?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where the principal funds are coming from?
So a lot of funds came from the registration. We probably had over $2,000 just in registration alone. But our sponsors are probably our biggest contributors. They have to do at least $1,000 to be a sponsor, but we had multiple sponsors that did, $2,000, or we had one that did over $2,000. So
That's great.
yeah, we're really lucky, and one of them is actually our own internal VFW auxiliary that helps us out a lot with the different things that we do.
So can you help the public understand what it means by auxiliary? I understand that it's military families, but can you articulate that a little bit?
So our auxiliary members are family members of veterans that are eligible for the VFW. That's it. And it's blended, so we don't have a separate one for women, we don't have a separate one for men. Our auxiliary is just VFW auxiliary, men and women.
And so these programs that you're creating, are they coming through the auxiliary? Are they coming through the members? Who's the initiator of these programs, and how do you decide what programs to engage in?
Actually, we both have our own programs that we do, but we all work together. Every year we have service events at the VFW to kind of raise awareness of who we are and get connected with the community. So both the auxiliary and the VFW work on things like that. We had our fall festival this year, and we've just started that last year, where we have food trucks come in and we have barbecue come in, and it's a really fun time.
Good.
Live music, and we all work together in bringing that together.
And how old is your VFW? When did the Palmer Lake VFW come into existence? Do you know that?
How dare you ask me that? You know what? I wish I could tell you what year the Palmer
Okay.
Lake VFW started, but I don't know the
Okay.
exact number. I'm sorry.
That's all right, no problem. I just curious guy. All right, so let's go a little deeper into the programs that you offer. Are a great deal of them centered around mental health and support? Obviously, that's a critical issue. Is it more towards families, or is it more towards individual veterans? What is your mission or focus as a VFW? What is your sweet spot?
Really, any veteran in need, whether it's due to mental health or physical abilities, financial, we really help anyone that needs it. So we don't try and focus just on mental health or just on financial stuff. We help anyone that needs it. Even like now with winter coming up, we want to help people shovel driveways or whatever that may be. You know, we'll help out in any way that we can.
So if you have a successful program or platform, will you try and reach out to other VFWs and help them engage in the same kind of success stories, or influence them to take advantage of your leadership?
Definitely. Every year, our VFW connects with the state and district VFWs. They have conferences where they do exactly that. They collaborate resources, see what other VFWs are doing. If there's a VFW out there that's just really doing awesome stuff, they're going to come with that information, and other VFWs are going to try and mirror that, because we want to be, the best for our communities.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to paraphrase again what your title is at the VFW, because we may have passed over that pretty quickly, and I want to respect the fact that you're new into your position and elevated from your old position. So how did you get to the position that you are?
Well, right now, my title is Senior Vice Commander. I was newly elected this year, and the couple years before that, I was the Junior Vice Commander.
Is the Senior Vice Commander the number 2 position?
Yes.
At the VFW? Okay.
Yes.
And what is the relationship between you and the commander? Is that what who's above you?
We're very close.
Yeah.
Pretty much any questions that I have, or even if I screw up or whatever it is, it always is run through the commander. And we're kind of just like a little family. Our camaraderie, we're like brothers and sisters. And
what's the age difference?
Right now we have probably a majority older to
No,
see.
I mean between you and the commander, what's the age difference?
Between okay, so between the commander and I don't want to give away his age.
Yeah. Well, we don't know your age. I just asked you the difference.
You don't. Probably like 10 years. So
Okay.
not.
Yeah, so not 20. So I mean, there's.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a lot of younger veterans in our posts, and I'm seeing more and more. And I hope that we can just continue to promote that we are more than a bar, and that we do actually have younger veterans at our posts, so that more will come in.
What about welcoming home new veterans? Do you have outreach programs that you learned that the vet just returned last week, and you want to make sure you get in touch with them to welcome them?
Definitely. I mean, if they want us to be a part of the event, we will go to those welcoming home ceremonies, but we do also have our honor guard that goes to different ceremonies like that too, to represent the flag and our VFW.
And you mentioned that when you worked for the VA that you were making sure that everybody understood what their benefits were, and that's how you connected with the vet centers, who also is doing that kind of work. Is your VFW focused on doing that as well?
Yeah, that's why we connect with the vet center. We connect with the 23rd veteran, who I mentioned before. They're another organization that assists veterans that are struggling with rehabilitation. And then other organizations too.
So what does the 23rd veteran mean? What is that concept?
So every day, they're estimating there's about 22 veterans that commit suicide.
Right.
So the 23rd veteran
Right.
is basically stating 23, we're going to try and stop that. You know,
Okay.
you're going to be the 23rd veteran that stops it.
Okay.
So they have different programs that kind of help those veterans rehabilitate and into a better life.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so what can we do for the fall season? Christmas is coming up. What kind of events are you going to have that the public can participate in?
Sure. We do Toys for Tots basically at our VFW, where we might donate, or what is that called when you, with a family member, not donate a family, but
A charitable one.
adopt, thank you. where we will, we'll adopt families if they're in need of support during the holidays. And then we do the toys, where we'll wrap toys for the kids and different things like that. And we can always use volunteers for things like that. We do have at our VFW, if you ever want to walk in there, we have a little billboard that says different events coming up, and if you want to volunteer, we have sign-up lists.
Great. Jonell, thank you so much for coming in. I
thank you.
appreciate it. We certainly understand the VFW a lot better today.
I hope so.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.